Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for May 17th. So, I really want to take a look at the Republicans in the United States. You not only have the crazy that's going on in Washington, but you have these really what are becoming right-wing almost Republican governors who are doing their level best to just damage, voting rights and, restrict who and what can vote and when they can vote and how they can vote. And I want to just take a look at where that's kind of going to lead them, right? I mean, it's easy enough to understand their strategy right now because what they're doing is they're doing whatever they need to do to keep that other guy, that former guy, happy. Because for whatever reasons, he still has a significant amount of clout. And nobody seems to want to go against him. So, let's just take a look at the Republicans, shall we? Here we go. Republican fate and future. Republican fate and future. Republican fate and future. Okay. All right, so here we go. So we're starting off with the Page of Cups and the Moon and the Wheel of Fortune and the Seven of Swords. So this is sort of an interesting story that's being told here. The Page of Cups is talking about, them continuing to hear what they want to hear from their constituents. So this is what you know this, right? If their constituents started singing a very different tune, then they also would sing a different tune. But because what used to be Republicans have now turned into MAGA people, they also have to follow that trend because they have witnessed exactly what happens when you do something that Trump doesn't want you to do. So they continue to sort of be in this crazy little dance. And I'm speaking broadly now. I'm speaking about, governors, senators, House members, mayors, I don't know, whatever. They continue to take their marching orders, to listen to and do what they are being told to do. What they're not understanding is that, and maybe they do understand it, but they're just not strong enough to actually push back. I'm not sure. But what they don't understand is that there's so much obscured because Trump is keeping things obscured. He keeps them guessing. That's one of the games he plays, right? He's constantly keeping you on your toes. He's constantly demanding this and that and this and that in terms of loyalty. And, he has that way of communicating where he just makes statements and he absolutely assumes that you not only agree with him, but think he's bloody brilliant for making them. So, they're not seeing with any clarity where this is going to go. And so, it boils down to this question. Are the MAGA people, is that going to have legs, right? Is it going to keep on growing and getting stronger? And, well, they have the Wheel of Fortune here, right? So I'm going to suggest that it's actually not. And their fortunes are going to start to change. But I don't expect them to change soon. I think what's going to happen is very slowly the Biden agendas are winning more and more praise and support. And so very quietly, you're going to have Republicans going independent. And what's going to be left is that hardcore MAGA base. And that's fine, except there's not going to be enough of them to actually swing or sway elections. There is going to be enough of them to keep some of these Republican politicians jumping. Okay? But there's definitely not going to be a shift for the better. They're not getting stronger. They're, in fact, getting smaller. And because they're getting smaller, you know, their force and their power diminishes. But as they get smaller, they get louder. And things get more stringent because, you know, Trump is in the fight of his life. And that has more to do with his legal issues than his political ones. But the reality is that all the Republican politicians, by and large, are doing everything that they can to stay in his good graces. And so they don't really see their future very clearly. And the sad truth is that so many of them don't agree with him. Sorry about that. That was the furniture company explaining to me that my table is still on back order. Okay. They don't agree with him, but they're going along with him because they really don't have any choice as long as their constituents want what they want. Okay. And like I say, the Republicans who don't want that are simply shifting to independence, and honestly, and in some cases, to Democrat, because they're watching the Biden agenda play out and they're seeing the benefits of it. Okay. Now, when things start turning, so this is the thing. Right now, they're working really, really hard at trying to project that, you know, we're united, we're all one happy family, we're, you know, this is like spectacular, this is the way of the future. You know, what was it Lindsey Graham said? Without Trump, there is no party. You just got to let that one lie, right? You just, there's honestly not much you can say about that level of butt kissing. There's going to come a time where they really are going to face sorrow and loss and disappointment because of the choices they made. And when it starts crashing, it's going to crash fairly quickly, but I don't believe it's going to crash in the next couple of months. It's going to take a little bit more. But always remember, as Biden strengthens, they weaken one way or the other. Okay. They are literally being trapped by their own nonsense. And, you know, they've gotten very clever at trying to sort of rewrite history. But in fact, they're not really going to be able to get away with it because so much of what they have said is so outrageous and so outlandish. I mean, I'm thinking about that, I guess it was a Senate hearing where you have that Gomet guy, honest to God, where you got these people sitting there saying, you know, it was a regular tourist day. There wasn't an insurrection. Honestly, anybody who's calling it that is just, you know, trying to divide the country. And then, you know, you see the video footage, right? So they're not really going to be, this is the thing, as long as they stay sort of enthralled with, you know, that guy, they're not really going to be able to steer their way clear. They don't want to do any soul searching. They don't want to look for solutions. They don't want to go against what they're being told to say and believe in and support. The problem is going to be that as they move forward and they're looking for these new voters and these new horizons, they're not available to them. They're simply not going to be there. So what does that mean? Well, again, that means that they're diminishing, right? And the very people that, it's so funny because these voting laws that they're putting in, these, draconian voting laws, they're actually going to impact some of the very people that they need to vote, which are the older, white, rural folks, and of course, Florida. Who they're making it hard for them too. So, what they did literally was they threw out the baby with the bathwater. And it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I think behind the scenes, they figured out that they've really done it to themselves. They've stabbed themselves in the back, and they have become sort of the masters of their own downfall. But again, because they are sort of in this crazy state, it's like being enthralled, right? Like it's like even if they know better, they don't appear to be capable of pushing back against that force. And so what you have are, probably, honestly, probably 70%, 80% don't approve of what's going on within the Republican Party, but they are not going to push back. They are going to basically stand by, complicit, and let the MAGA crowd destroy the party. Because when it comes right down to it, it's not the party that they're loyal to. They're loyal to their own political agendas and careers. That's what they want. That's what they're focusing on. And that's it for them. So approve, don't approve, like, don't like. They're just focusing on what they need to focus on. And they're not understanding that they are diminishing their ranks, okay? So yeah, you've got those loud people yelling and screaming, and you've got these people saying incredibly outrageous things. And honestly, some of the things that are so outrageous, they're beyond the pale. Those people also have simply bought into it, right? I mean, they've been gaslit to the point that they believe it themselves, right? I mean, it's sort of really crazy. It's going to get harder and harder for Republicans across the board to continue to carry the water for Trump. It's going to get harder and harder. The problem is he has such dominance over them. And he's made it so that they really believe, and honestly, in some cases, they're not wrong to believe, that he controls their political destiny. He controls their legacy. And you have to understand, like, some of these people, they believe what he believes. They were sort of like the closet right wing, right? And he gave them license to come out of the closet. And so for some of these Republicans, it really is a sense of relief that somebody is finally saying what they believe to be true, what they think is actually right. But I mean, you have that America First policy. I don't see that going well. And part of what's going to happen is it's really interesting because slowly but surely, Trump's reach is going to diminish, right? He doesn't have Twitter. He doesn't have Facebook. Only those core people who believe that the election was stolen, who have to believe that, who want to hang on to that, because otherwise they would have to evaluate everything that they have absorbed and approved of for the last 4 years. But there's not going to be a easy choice or a good choice for Republicans to make pretty much across the board. As of right now, they're holding firm. They're not going to shift. And that's okay, because what it's doing is it's bringing an end to this cycle. But because emotions run so high, and because nobody actually wants to listen to the truth, right? This is what they have now, and this is what they're going to do. So it feels like going forward, you have the promise. You have their expectation. This is the expectation about what Republican politicians believe they're going to be able to achieve by continuing to walk down this road of deceit, lies, insanity, and being completely divorced from the truth. This is what they get. This is what follows that false belief. It's coming down. And it's coming down because they were too blind to make the right decision. They didn't care somehow if they weren't on the right side of history. They somehow believe that they are on the right side of history, that truly America should be white. It should be, there should be definite classes, and the richer you are and the whiter you are, the more entitled you are, and the more you should have. That's it. So they've made the wrong choice, and they are literally bringing down sort of their doom. And again, whether they worry about it, whether they think it's right or not, they are not willing or capable of pulling back and literally doing what Liz Cheney did, because they understand that as soon as you make that kind of a move, everything turns to you, right? The attacks come at you because you will not play along with, the Wizard of Oz, right? You won't play along with the illusions and the fantasies. And, that's sad. He's in control. For right now, he is in control. And the thing is, he's going to lead them to ruin. And Trump will never see the White House again, despite what he thinks. And for a lot of the Republicans that are sort of following him, they may survive the next election. I don't know that it'll go much beyond that. At some point, they're going to actually crawl back under their rock. And they will go back to being those sort of people who believe in crazy conspiracy theories. And their voice and their power will ultimately diminish, simply because what they believe, what they do, how they think, how they act is so... It's at this point, it's not in keeping with the energies. And you know what? This is going on all over the place, right? I mean, you see this extremist right-wing behavior going on globally. It is not just in the United States. Because, Netanyahu, right? They are pandering to the right because those are the people that are most scared, and they motivate them by fear, right? This is going to happen. This is going to be taken away. I'm the only one that can save you. I'm the only one that can protect you. I'm the only one that understands. And so they literally, this energy will increase, but over the long haul, it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be survivable. It's almost as if there won't be like enough oxygen, literally, to sort of sustain life, right? Now let's bring this like a little bit closer to home and see what we can see in terms of the Republican Party, in terms of the House and Senate, sort of the Washington Republicans. So, right now they are continuing to function as a relatively united front, despite the grumblings. That's just it. Despite the grumblings and the quiet whispering, they are presenting as if they continue to be loyal. They continue to talk the talk because that's what they're being told to do. And they are motivated by people's emotions and money. Okay? Simple as that. They clearly understand that if I don't know, the lunatic residing in Mar-a-Lago speaks, they must jump because he holds the power of the purse right now. And in some ways, he kind of really is sort of that devil incarnate. And that's not something, it's not a phrase I like. It's not something I would typically use. But he is that person so filled with dark energy and dark light. And as things come towards him, he literally diminishes their light until it is no more. That's really an apt description of what he's done to the party. And again, there were significant numbers of people within the party who believed what he believes. They just were smart enough at some point to not say it out loud. Well, now they've said it out loud. So, I guess let the chips fall where they may. But it definitely does not look like it's going to go well as they go forward. Because again, they just don't seem to understand that he doesn't care what happens to them. He only cares about satisfying his own ego, and he only cares about figuring out a way to somehow avoid or postpone the inevitable legal challenges and battles that he is going to soon enough be, in and be trying to fight against. Let's ask the pendulum just a couple of quick questions, shall we? So it's a little bit early to be asking these questions because, of course, the energies shift. But let's see what we can see. Okay, so pendulum's ready to talk. Okay, so my question is, as the energies stand right now, in the next election, are the Democrats going to hold the White House? They are. Are the Democrats going to hold or increase their numbers within the Senate? Are they going to be able to hold the Senate? Yes. Are they going to be able to hold the House? Yes. Is the Republican Party in its sort of current state, is that energy going to continue, let's say, for the next 18 months, up until the election? Is that sort of crazy going to continue? Yes. The results of the midterm elections, is that going to be part of what starts to create the crumble, the actual demise of the party as we know and recognize it? Yeah, it is. So they're going to play along until the midterms, hoping and praying that they can ride on this guy's coattails to advance their political careers. And listen, in some states, they're really going to be able to do that, whether it's governors or senators or Congress people, right? But once the results of the election come in, and that would then make basically 2 failures in a row, they will start, I believe, to pull back. Remember, he is not going to have the megaphone that he had. which means that those people who really already, Republican or not, who are so tired, they don't want to hear his name, they don't want to hear his voice, they don't want to look at his picture. Those are the people who are going to be voting in droves to ensure that the crazy of this time is actually, diminished and reduced again. And let's not forget, right? I mean, the Democrats lost in the House at the last election, right? They have a much smaller majority now than they did previously. But it feels as if there is sort of like another shift coming. Because again, the energies of the planet globally cannot sustain those thought processes and those patterns and those ideas and attitudes. But you are dealing literally with, that sense of people who are fighting for their lives, their political lives, the things that they believe to be true, the things that they are going to be, lost because they're buying into the fear. And the rest of the world is doing their level best to stand in the light and bring in sort of a new awareness. And as of right now, it really does look like the light is going to succeed. But remember, it is not without effort. It is absolutely not without effort. So, hopefully, that has provided some insight, some guidance. And again, for those of you in the United States who, in whatever way possible, can become active or continue to stay active from the last election going as you move to the next, it's really, really important that you do that because, again, the light will grow stronger, but it has to have movement and momentum and energy to grow stronger. And that comes from the citizens of the United States. It comes from the voters. Okay. So there we have that. Until next time, take care. Be well. And I'll see you soon. Bye.